What is up, guys? 4th and 26 Sports are back for another video, another podcast. We got Cobb's Creek Beef and Dirty Mike here. Obviously this is Super Bowl weekend beef, but I wanted to quickly touch on the NBA trade deadline today. There was a lot of moves being made. How do you feel about what the Sixers did today? I've been reading in some of the forums and Facebook groups that a lot of people are actually angry with what the Sixers did today. What do you think about it?
They're biding their time with this Embiid injury, and I honestly would have to agree with a lot of the Sixers fans online stating that this was not a great, move or any type of move they made at the trade. They got rid of a lot more than I think that they acquired, and I think that's what is pissing everyone off, especially that first round loss that we gave up for a second round. With Jaden there.
Yeah, I didn't like that Jaden Springer.
Especially to Boston. Oh, my God.
You're going to trade like this dude. He was a G League MVP. He's got talent. He's a talented player. He just hasn't really caught on in the NBA yet. And, you need opportunities for that. Watch the Celtics really develop them. The Sixers are horrific at developing talent. I don't know if you realize this or not, but Embiid is the last player left from the process.
Yeah, and he's 30. He's literally going to be 30 in like a few months. It's if that is not a testimony of failure, what is? I mean, really,
it's complete and utter failure. Like if you look at the draft picks from Evan Turner to
Markelle Fultz
and Fultz and Ben Simmons and
the ones they missed too. Same.
I mean, they could have had an all-star starting lineup with the people that they missed. Now, obviously, if they would have hit on some of those early picks, they might not have, been tanking and getting the number one pick the next year. Maybe we would have avoided Ben Simmons, but it was just complete and utter failure. And I don't know how Morey got an extension, honestly, Foods.
Yeah, it kind of baffles us all. I think that they really want to secure this last bit of Embiid's, juice for this last run, because this is it. This is his window, Foods. I mean, getting Buddy Hield doesn't hurt. That's nice. It helps with the shooting. Mm-hmm. They got rid of some other folks. Got rid of Cork Moss. They're always talking about getting rid of him. Marcus, who they get?
Morris, yeah.
Marcus Morris Sr. Like, I'm not crazy about that one, but I understand. And then, who else? Obviously, they got to get Embiid back. They let one more. Pat Beverly.
Pat Beverly to the Bucks for Cameron Payne and a second round pick. I didn't like that. And
not a huge fan of that.
I don't think Beverly. Obviously his best years are long behind him. The Clippers and stuff like that. But he's a dog, man. He's got that dog mentality, and we don't have a lot of players on our team that have that. And I kind of feel like he's somebody that would be very valuable for a playoff run for that experience and that toughness. And I just don't know what that does getting rid of him, to the Bucks. And then, you're moving Jaden Springer over to the Celtics for a second round pick.
Yeah, first for a second. No, it makes no sense.
Second round picks, barely, do anything ever. There have been a couple second round picks that have kind of, hit it, but for the most part, you're going to be a 10th person on the bench, as a second round pick. And I just didn't see much use in that. But, I think what they're doing is they are trying to plan for the future. Obviously Pat Bev was on a 1-year contract, and I guess if we could, get something for him, I haven't looked at campaigns. Contract if it's up after this year. I assume it probably is, but they did get a draft pick out of it, so I guess it's better than just letting them walk for somebody who's going to score 4 or 5 points a game. So I guess I kind of see where they're coming from that. But Buddy Hield's an unrestricted free agent after this year. They gave up a lot for him.
Yeah, they also I think they gave up House too. He got. I feel they loaded a lot more than they brought in, and I can understand they're trying to, look forward a little bit, because the way they've been playing these past 4 games is what kind of competition you're going to see in the playoffs. So
Yeah,
if you're going to, lose these kinds of games against the Pacers, or, just hypothetical, if they play like the Pacers, or, I mean, they'll probably get like, fifth or sixth seed if they're going to continue like this, and B gets
I don't
back in
even.
March.
I have
Maybe.
Foods. I'll be honest with you. I think we're going to be talking about them playing in the play-in game.
Yeah, that's what
Honestly,
they were saying on the radio. They were mentioning that as well on 94, WIP.
yeah. Let me look at conference standings right now, and they haven't announced what we got for Daniel House yet. I know we traded
Okay.
him to the Pistons, but I don't know. It was just a salary dump. What I'm hearing is they're trying to free up salary to possibly go after some buyout market players, like maybe Kyle Lowry, which I don't think they're going to get.
They were mentioning that too, and I mean he's got a championship, so that's to talk about bringing people in who are veterans, or people who've been there to the top. But I mean, has that really helped us lately?
No.
Not really. I mean, they need to concentrate on developing Maxi and putting people around him. I know he's not a number one, but he could be a strong number two. Foods.
It would be I don't think he's a point guard either. I think he plays better as a off the ball two guard. So if you brought maybe Kyle Lowry in, but again, it's just a rental for a half a year, not even a half a year. And are you going to put all your eggs in this basket for this year, or depending on how Embiid starts to look close to playoffs, shut it down and maybe go after a free agent market, over the summer. There's definitely going to be a lot more available over the summer. I'm looking at the standings right now, and the difference between the Sixers is the number 5 seed and Orlando is the number 8 seed is 3 games. So, I mean, realistically, I could see us sliding to that, 8 seed. And then, we're in a position to where, we got to win a game or two to even get in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's a shame, man.
They got to get in top. And you know what? I was really feeling like this was our year this year. I know we've said this before with the Sixers, and, I know we've dealt with this. It seems like every year there's an injury to Embiid come playoffs. If his face keeps getting broken, this and that, it's tough, man.
It feels like you're cursed, doesn't it? Sometimes it really does. It's like
think about it. Look at the Eagles collapse this year. So for like at the end of the year, beginning of this year, look at the Sixers. Look at the what's going on with the Flyers right now, and Carter. It's been a cursed year so far, Foods. I can't wait for spring training to start.
Yeah, just to start, I agree. It's these last 4 to 5 weeks. I mean, we need an uptick now, and it was nice to see the Flyers win a couple in a row. I mean, we could talk about them later, but you're right. Seeing what happened, like to Embiid, getting how he made 70 points, and then 3 games later, he got to get surgery. Like, what the fuck,
Yeah, he's been cursed. He's had a tough career as far as injuries go. I mean. I mean, it's not that long ago. We remember back. He missed his first 2.5 years, Foods.
Yeah, with the foot.
The navicular bone.
And that's a big bone in that foot, boy. Let me tell you.
And what's funny is the navicular bone is super tiny.
I know, but man, he's just a big dude. And he's starting as a soccer player, playing on grass, or he can fall, he can take a hit. He can roll up, and he can get up, no problem. But if you're falling on hardwood, if you're running on hardwood, and people are then falling on you, it's going to be a lot more dangerous.
Bruce, we've talked about this before. He's one of the – I think Embiid is the strongest player in the league. Between him and Steven Adams. Steven Adams is deceptively strong. Like, he is just a mammoth beast of a man. Like, you can't move that dude. Steven Adams is so solid and so strong, but Embiid is too. Embiid and Steven Adams are the 2 strongest players in the league, and you're telling me he's flopping on the ground 6-8 times a game, getting knocked down and just fading back and falling. It's bound to happen. When you're on the fucking ground, you're going to get hurt. It happens in football every week.
Yeah, stepped on. You're going to have people trip on you, roll. And then if you're taking – this is the other thing. Because he's a great shooter and he likes to shoot, takes his shots, fall away. You roll your ankle when you land on someone's foot. If you were under the paint, in the paint, under the bucket, it wouldn't be so bad for those things.
And you know what? But that's part of Embiid's game and why he's so great, because he can hit that elbow jumper and it's just completely lethal. You know, his paint game around the free throw line is complete. It's the best mid range game in the whole league by far. And
Especially yes, for his size, especially.
yeah, he's got the best mid range game in the league, and he also has, I think, the best inside game in the league. He's unstoppable, and you know, you got to play to those strengths. You can't have him on the ground. But you know, we've been dealing with it for how many years now? He's always been like that.
7, 8 years. About 7. I mean, he's played. God, he's like you said. You missed those first 2. Yeah, it's about 7 years.
Yeah, and he just hasn't changed that. You know, stay upright. You can't be on the ground like that. But yeah, I wasn't a fan of the moves. There's still more to come, I think. You know, the buyout market is definitely, you know, just as active almost as the trade deadline. You're going to see some people get bought out and just moved over. And I think that's what they're kind of hoping for with Kyle Lowry or possibly DeMar DeRozan. I don't think they're going to have enough money for him, honestly.
Yeah, there were a couple other guys they were talking about. You said Murray. Yeah, I mean, it's a move that will prove whether, you know, our management and our administration and the upper office is committed to one path or the other. I mean, are they going to try to finish the process, which is pretty much all dead? I mean, this is it. This is the year. This is the year. This is it. It's over after this.
We've talked about this too. The process is a failure after this year if we didn't, you know, if we don't win it. And or at least get to the Eastern Conference Finals. I mean, if Embiid comes back and, you know, they get to the finals, that's a big step forward where you feel a little bit better about Nick Nurse. Like, all right, he got us over the hump. You know, we didn't get quite to the finals, but he got us to the Eastern Conference Finals. I want to see what they do next year, you know, in free agency and all. And I think there will be some excitement. But if we have another first or second round exit, you know, I think so many people are going to jump ship on this team, including Embiid.
Yeah, and it's a shame because it might hurt any trade value that he has in the future too. If you want to move Embiid, I don't really have a problem with it, although he did get MVP last year, so it'd be kind of stupid to. But in a year or two, if there's no effective, you know, moving forward, any type of progress from him, then yeah, you know, you might have to look at moving him too. Sorry.
I was under the. I love Embiid. He's one of my favorite basketball players.
I do too.
I was kind of under the thought of I wanted to move him after last year. I didn't think, you know, we were going to go anywhere this year again. And he was just going, if we didn't, then he's going to start becoming an issue, asking for a trade, checking out. So you're never going to get more for him than coming off of MVP.
MVP year, right.
I thought that would have been the thing to, you know, get 4 or 5 first-round picks, some starters, and now you can build the team around Maxey and, you know, some younger players. But I guess they're committed. They're pot committed foods.
They really are. And I'll tell you what, I don't mind, and you know, especially if you're going to get rid of certain cancers, Harden, Simmons, you know, no problem. Then you got other people with playmakers. And I'm not saying Tobias Harris is great. I'm just saying that they could work with him if he knows his role. If everybody does what they're supposed to do, there's no reason that they shouldn't get to the finals this year. At least the Eastern Conference Finals.
No. Let me see what Tobias's contract looks like. I'm kind of feeling like this is the last year of his contract.
Yeah, like what, 4 years, 3 or 4 years?
We signed him to the 5. It
was a 5-year? Okay.
He got the max contract, Foods. Tobias Harris, here's what he's made the last 5 years. $32 million, $34 million, $35 million, $37 million, $39 million.
Jeez, that's like 200 and
it's like 100.
No, it's 100. Yeah, 180 bucks, 180 million. Yeah,
over the last 5 years, and he is an unrestricted free agent after this year.
Okay.
So I was almost kind of okay with moving him at the trade deadline. I think he has some values. It's almost a 20-point-a-game scorer. I think you could have got somebody, you know, decent. But what are you going to trade? You know, him for a rental, you know, that's going to put up similar numbers. You know, he's at least used to our squad.
Yeah, that's you know, and that's like I said, getting rid of some of the other players that they had. I think that was a better move because I think he can fall in line. I think he can play ball with us, you know,
Okay.
and the organization.
His contract was 5 years, 180 million.
That was it, 5. Okay, I thought it was 4, but yeah, 5 makes more sense.
Yeah, that's a part. And you know what, Foods? That's what I hate about the NBA. The max contract is
It's
just killing
contracts.
the NBA because you have guys like Tobias Harris making the same amount as like Kevin Durant and Joel Embiid and Devin Booker and all those guys. You know, there's tiers to this shit, and they need to be paid accordingly. But what happens is if you don't give them the max contract, someone else was going to give it to them, and then you're just going to lose them. So
was he going to go to? Well, that's what I'm saying. Was he going to go to like the Knicks or something, or the Nets, and then you're fucked, you know?
Yeah, we were pretty much forced to sign Tobias to put alongside Ben and Joel as our big three, so to speak. Mm-hmm. So I think we were almost, our hand was kind of forced to, give him that max contract, and he's cashing checks, man. $180 million. And Tobias gets a raw deal. You know, he had a lot of different teams he got traded to. You know, he played his best under Doc with the Clippers, and he's played solid here. You know, he's not an all-star. He's never made an all-star team, but he's going to get you 17, 18 points a game. You need those players on your team, but not on their max contracts.
It's a shame because he didn't – I don't think his play last year's playoffs and when we were in the semifinals, I don't think he did bad. I really think that after Harden had that, I think it was game 4 that he went off. I'm pretty sure it was game 4. And then after that, Embiid disappeared and then Harden disappeared. You guys just had a great opening salvo of games, and then game 6 and game 7, you never showed up. I'll say it's mine, and then you can't depend on Tobias or anybody in the lower tier to come through. I mean, those were your guys, and they ruined it.
Yeah, the Sixers are a mess. It's this year or bust at this point, and they're probably going to have to break up the team if not. But stay tuned for that, guys. We'll definitely be covering the Sixers as it gets closer to playoffs. We got to cover the elephant in the room. The Super Bowl is this weekend, so we do got to talk about it. I can't think of, besides the Cowboys, some teams I dislike more than the Chiefs and the Red Cowboys, as I've been calling the 49ers, the Red Cowboys.
Dude, aren't they the new hate the face? Aren't they just
they're punchable? Now, has that name caught on up north or on WIP or anything, calling them the Red Cowboys?
Not really. I don't even like to give the 49ers the time of day yet until they've done anything other than complain, because let me tell you, Foods, they did not win that championship. No, the Lions lost the championship.
Yeah, they really did. I was rooting for the Lions. I wanted to see the Lions or the Packers, make it and knock those jabronis off. But yeah, man.
So close, too.
So close. So, with that being said, who are you rooting for?
This is a tough question. And a lot of people – it's funny because I see a lot of people, it's like 50-50. But I got to say, and even though I'm not a huge – I like Andy. I loved him as a coach. I still like him. And I don't hate Mahomes, but I can't see – I don't want them to be the new – the new Belichick and Brady. And that's what I don't want. And if they win, they'll probably become that. But on the other hand, I do not want to see the fucking 49ers win that game. That is the last thing I want to see. So in that vein, I guess I have to say I want the Chiefs to win.
Yeah, I'm in the same with you.
Do you really want to see the Niners go, oh, my God, we should have won it last year?
Now, the Riley has about 4 or 5 Patrick Mahomes rookie cards.
Okay.
One of them's like a game-worn jersey and shit. It's worth like $2,000. I'm like, you know what? If he keeps piling on Super Bowl wins and all, those cards, man, you're gonna have like a $25,000 collection with those 4 or 5 cards.
And then Andy Reid becomes the new discussion of who's the greatest coach. I mean,
he's in top 3 now.
Yeah, is he going to be the most winningest coach? Is Belichick going to come back? Because correct me if I'm wrong, but he didn't get a job this year.
He did not get a job. Yeah, Belichick, I don't think is going to be. I think Belichick's done.
Mm.
Um, I think he's not personable enough to take like an analyst gig or something. Like I know Nick Saban took an analyst job for ESPN covering college, and that's cool. He's super knowledgeable. I'd like to see him, but I don't want to see Bill Belichick on ESPN. I don't want to see
I
him on
just
anywhere. I'm done. Just go kiss your daughter on the mouth and get the fuck
right.
out of here. I'm good.
That, and I don't think he's relatable. Like I
He's
don't.
not.
Yeah,
He's not likable at all.
the NFL is going in such a different direction with Taylor Swift and the youth, and they want to bring like the women. Not that I'd love bring the girls in. That's fine. I love watching a game with with a female. Oh my God, kick his ass! It's so funny to watch the women interested in football beyond Taylor Swift and all the pageantry. So that's fine, but it's also going the way of the dodo bird for coaches like Bill Belichick.
Yeah, the old guard. The old guard's
Yeah.
getting pushed out, and you got to make room for the
McCarthy.
new
Yeah.
blood. You
Yeah.
got to
I
make
mean,
room for the new blood.
they wanted McCarthy out after that debacle with Green Bay a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
So, I mean, older coaches, bye.
Yeah. Hey, keep McCarthy, man. Keep him.
Yeah. I got no problems with that.
I got no problem with McCarthy staying. And with Quinn leaving, I think they're going to take a big step back next year on defense. That's a big loss. That's not talked about a lot, but Quinn leaving is a big loss for their defense.
Yeah, I think that our defensive, coordination has improved, and there's a step back, a good deal. When we signed Fangio.
I was thinking about this, how I wanted to word this the other day. I can't say last year's because, well, I guess technically we're still in this year, but last year's Eagles team was one of the funnest and most exciting Eagles teams I've ever been a part of watching. It reminded me of like the year that we got T.O., the excitement of last year with AJ and Devontae, and they were crazy last year. They were so good. That was the best Eagles team we have ever put on the field. And to come that short of winning the championship just hurts because they won't go down as the greatest Eagles team ever because they didn't win it. But, that was my favorite Eagles team of all time. And with that being said, this year's Eagles squad, you and me have sat through some lean years with the Eagles, with Rich Kotite and Ray Rhodes and just shit years. And it's okay, if you're shitty and, you're putting a decent product on the field and you see them trying. Last year's Eagles team was the most hated Eagles team, as far as I'm concerned, that I've ever in all the years I've been a fan. I'm 43, so I started watching at least when I was 5 or 6. In 36, 37 years, this year was my most hated Eagles team I ever remember.
Foods, there was probably only 2 games during this whole season where I was like, that was an enjoyable game. I was satisfied. I felt like, both teams played their hearts out and everyone left it all on the field. 2 games out of 17.
And even when we were winning, even when we started off, winning, we were down by, it was a joke, double digits every halftime, coming back to barely win. It just wasn't enjoyable football. It wasn't good football. And you could just tell the defense was terrible. And we all just kept saying, we'll get it together by the end of the year, get it together by the end of the year. And then the offense just took a shit. And it's like, that was a completely unenjoyable Eagles team this year. I cannot believe Sirianni didn't get fired. And you know what? I guess you got to give him the benefit of the doubt just coming off of a Super Bowl and coming this close to winning it. You can't fire him on one bad year, but he's on the hot seat next year, Foods.
He absolutely is. And I think that if they don't match the success of at least 11 or 12 wins or more next year, especially with the coordinators they got. Kellen Moore came in, and like I said, we just discussed Vic. So there's other things that they've done to improve. Now let's see what Howie can do with this draft because they have they have three picks in the first 2 rounds. So that's, he has to get at least one of those right. If not, 2 out of 3 ain't bad, as Meatloaf said, Foods. I'd go for some meatloaf right now.
I made some. I made some meatloaf yesterday, actually. Some
Sounds
onions.
delicious.
Oh yeah, got some beef and got some onions and cut up some
Mm.
peppers and put some ketchup on top and glazed it on it. Put it in the air fryer to get it nice and crunchy. Yeah, it was dope. And Lisa made some chicken and gnocchi soup yesterday. That was, oh my god.
Did she
So,
make it from scratch and all that?
yeah,
Or?
yeah, yeah. We
Dude,
made
that's
it from
great.
scratch in the Dutch oven.
Oh,
Um,
such good eating.
yeah, the only thing we did, we bought the gnocchis. I mean, I'm not fucking making
That's yeah. I
like
mean,
$2.
she made the soup from scratch.
Yeah. We made the soup from scratch with like no salt added broth because I love soup foods, but like it's so salty and I'm so sensitive to sodium now,
Mm-hmm.
because of my mom. She's on like a low sodium diet that she can only take in like 900 milligrams a day of sodium. And just about anything you look at has like 600 milligrams of sodium in it. So she kind of got me looking at it. And like maybe 3-4 years ago, we really kind of started looking at it, be like, oh my God, this is fucking terrible. Like a packet of soy sauce is like 1,200 milligrams of sodium. It's like, what? I got to put like 6 of these in my stir fry sauce to make stir fry. It's crazy. So, now that we've really cut out sodium, I'm really sensitive to it. So I've been staying away from soup. So then we started just making our own.
I love it. Anything made from scratch is great.
I want to make some potato linguiça and kale soup. Oh, I love
linguiça. Linguiça is that's a good meat right there.
It is. I like Portuguese sausage. I like linguiça. It's steakier than like sausage.
Yeah,
a little bit steakier. Thick. Yeah, like a little more even than kielbasa even. But yeah, I like linguiça, man. I like linguiça a lot.
That's good. You know what? And I'm glad that you guys are making your own food. I think that's another thing that adds a lot to like the team. The overall is like the nutrition, because I think that by like the time they got to those last several games, their conditioning was shit. I mean, defense looked like poopy. They couldn't get off the field. They couldn't stop any third down conversions. It was terrible.
Yeah. Nutrition really is where it's at. Like I'm looking at myself in here and I'm like this is the first time in like 2 years I'm looking at myself and I'm like, damn, like I look fucking skinny compared to what I used to look like. Like, nutrition's hard, man. I've been at it for 6 weeks now, like really trying to not cheat. It's fucking hard, man.
Yeah, as you get older too, right?
The older you get, like I used to be able to, like I've kind of always gained like 10, 15 pounds around the holidays. And then I'd be able to just start working out, eat good for a couple of weeks and just kind of take it off like that. But the last few years, man, I have to do more and more and more to get that,
Well, that's the metabolism. The metabolism slows down. It takes more amounts of energy to convert it. So.
Yeah, exactly. So it's tough and it's all about nutrition. So, they definitely lost steam at the end of the year. The defense was all time terrible. That was one of the worst defenses I've ever remembered the Eagles having. So, we got some time to talk about them, but right now I'm looking at our draft pick situation for this year. And so we have one first round, which is what pick do we have? Is it like 20 something?
Yeah, it's pretty high. I want to say, I guess. Oh, like yeah,
21, 22.
I think it's 22. I think it's 22.
Yeah.
But it might even be higher than that. It could be 25.
Maybe. So we have our first round pick, we have our second round pick, and we have the Saints second round pick, and then a compensatory pick. So I don't think this is the draft like last year's draft. Last year was a really fucking stacked draft, Foods.
I mean, they dipped into that Georgia pool. You know how it was.
Yeah, they dipped into the Georgia pool, and it was looking really good and really smart. And I don't know.
Until around week 7 or week 8, week 9.
Let's talk about Jordan Davis. I mean, he just disappeared the second half of the year.
Yeah, I mean, Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis. What happened to a bunch of our front guys? I mean, Fletcher Cox. I mean, he's older. Brandon Graham, they were there, but they're getting older. You can't expect.
Fletcher Cox was our best defensive lineman this year, I think.
That's what I'm saying, and he needs to. like he did exactly what he needs to do, but those younger guys really need to learn to like stay close to him and learn from him, and they really, really, really need to put in more of an effort because they were doing so well, and then all of a sudden they turned to shit. They let all the backs get through. Terrible run defense,
Horrible.
and they
Out
were
of
good at
position.
that. It was crazy. They just got gashed in those last 6 games.
Yeah, when Matt Patricia took over and started changing the lingo and just confusing everybody, and then you're bringing in people like Byard and who have no idea about our scheme, and then they're learning 2 different schemes. The last year was cursed foods. We've talked about it till our ears fucking turn blue. Last year was just cursed. The year before that, we started 22 starters that we started the regular season with in the Super Bowl. So it's a war of attrition. It really is. The healthiest teams are usually the teams that make it to the end.
And then the teams that win now, say for example, watching that Lions game, okay, when we started the second half, and we were like, oh, they held them to a field goal.
Yeah,
that first one, no problem. And then all of a sudden, it looked like I was watching Super Bowl 51 again. It just wherever I can't even like precisely point out. Maybe I'll tell you where it might have happened when the Lions punted back the ball, and instead of getting it on the 1 yard line, the guy
he touched
rolled into the end zone, and they got a touchback there. Yep. And then I think from that point on, that was when he hit the guy in the face mask with the pass, and then the fumble, and it just fucking spiraled. It just spirals. Yeah. How?
Momentum's real, foods. It's just like playing poker and going on tilt.
Dude, super tilt.
It's real. Going on tilt is real. You know that better than anyone. It is real. And it's not just with poker. It's in other sports too. There's momentum. And when you lose it and the other team snatches it, it's tough, man.
That's why I don't want to hear shit about Brock Purdy. Like, he might have had a couple good runs. He looked like Josh Allen a couple times. But that pass, come on, man. That was practically hit.
It was intercepted. It bounced right to him. I mean, even if it would have just bounced and hit the ground, like the fact that it bounced right to him, like, come on.
That's some Tom Brady shit. It looked like Julian Edelman catching the ball, but whatever. Yeah. We'll see. We'll cut out all that lucky shit come the Super Bowl. Maybe we'll see.
I think the Chiefs are going to take it. I think the experience is going to do it. Patrick Mahomes is going to probably go down as the greatest postseason quarterback of all time with Brady. Kelsey's already there. Greatest receiver, tight end in the playoffs. Like, him and Mahomes are already ahead of Montana and Rice. I mean, that's fucking crazy.
Yeah, and they're the underdog in this. I think the Niners got a 2 point favorite 2 points.
Yeah,
not a lot, but shit,
I very rarely say this, but this football season exhausted me, and I am ready for it to be over. I am ready for spring training to start. So let's transition into the Phillies.
Yes.
So today is the 9th coming up tomorrow. When do pitchers and catchers report?
And I think they start. I think they come in Wednesday, either next Wednesday or Thursday. I think it's Wednesday.
So about a week away.
Yeah, I think they come in Wednesday, and then I think the next week everybody's there, and then I think the first preseason game is like the last day of February or something like that.
You want to know what's funny, Foods? I used to live 10 minutes away from the Phillies spring training, and I know pitchers and catchers officially report down, but they're already down there working out, man. They're already down there.
Well, a lot of those guys have their own places down there, right? Apartments and shit. They're Clearwater.
Right. A lot of them are in the Clearwater area anyway, and they're already down there, and so they're getting reps in. Rojas is looking ripped. Let's see if he can learn how to hit.
I don't need him to hit 300, dude. I just want you to clean up.
He got 240, and I will be more than ecstatic.
Yeah,
he was a liability come playoffs. He was a great defensive player, but he was a liability.
Yeah, give me like 60 RBIs. If you could do that, I'd be happy with that. Maybe a little more.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. I'm excited for the Phils this year. If they can stay healthy, I think they have a good lineup. I think Trey Turner is going to continue, playing well. It's kind of like Castellanos in his first year with us. He didn't put up numbers anywhere near like what his career numbers was, and then last year, he played good. Baseball is the hardest sport to play at an elite level. It really, truly is. That's why it takes sometimes 3, 4, 5 years to make it to the pros, even if you're like a first round draft pick. It's the only sport that's like that.
Yeah, you can't. I mean, how many Bryce Harpers are there that could switch from outfield to first base? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Nobody could do that shit. Nobody.
No. No. So I think if you have Bryce healthy all year at first base, um, I think they got a good shot.
Yeah.
Who have they picked up this offseason? Anybody notable that you can think of offhand? I have to look at the
Not
roster.
not really. They were talking about Bellinger, but
I don't want
nothing was
Bellinger.
final. Yeah, nothing got finalized there. There was no. They were talking about a pitcher from the Cubs. I want to say Bellin. No, it wasn't Bellin.
I think they were talking about Blake Snell for a little bit, but yeah, nothing. I don't think anything ended up happening.
Yeah, I don't remember. Yeah, nothing with him. Somebody from the Cubs. I can't, nothing that blows up, right now that makes me think, of anybody special. I know they got rid of a couple people. They got rid of Reese. He went
Yeah,
to Milwaukee.
yeah.
And it's funny because it doesn't look great for him there either. Now I think they were draft. They were looking. They got like they're looking at another first baseman or somebody now. Like
Yeah.
it was.
All right, so I'm looking at some new names here. We got Colby Allard, starting pitcher, left-hander. I didn't remember them getting him. Max Castillo, another right-handed pitcher. Hoffman's back. Onion Kirk.
Diego, wasn't there a Diego Castillo too?
There's Onion Kirkering.
Good old Kirk.
Onion Kirkering. I like it. Taiwan Walker, Zach Wheeler, Matt Strom. No, their pitching staff is pretty much Michael Mercado. They got Michael Mercado, starting pitcher supposedly. So Michael Lorenzen. Oh yeah, he's still on the team too. Jesus.
Oh yeah.
So it's not a bad bullpen. I think if Taiwan Walker and Ranger Suarez can have decent years this year, we could have a good starting lineup. Foods.
As far as I know, Ranger hasn't come back yet either. From God, where is he? Dominican? I forget exactly what his nationality is. Shit.
He looks. Yeah, I think Rangers. He might be Venezuelan.
It might be. I think he's still down there too. I don't think he's come back yet.
Let me see where he's from. Actually, now you got me thinking. Yeah, he's Venezuelan. Yeah,
Venezuela. But yeah, I think he's still down there. I don't think he's come back yet. They were talking about how he's still out of the country. Like,
do you remember who the hell was it that was on our team? And he wasn't currently on our team when he did it, but he was from Venezuela and he hacked up a bunch of farmhands with like a machete or something. Do you remember that maybe like 10, 15 years ago?
Really.
Yes, I do. I think it was Ugath Urbina. It was Urbina.
Oh, Urbina. Okay. Oh, Jesus, I was working at the country club with that.
Because I had an Urbina T-shirt and I put Murder Bina on the back of it. I remember that. Now I remember his Murder Bina.
Jesus, we're gonna get to see what he's doing now. I wonder if he's in the can or something.
No, he got out. He did get out.
Right.
But he tried to kill like 5 people that worked on his ranch with like a machete, though. Started hacking them up.
Wow. You got some sick there's some sick puppies out there, Foods.
There really, really, truly are. And it's scary that, just some people just don't think along like the normal lines of society and just don't care. They just don't care.
No, they don't. They're fucked in the head, man. And it's original and
you're a multi-million-dollar athlete. I mean, Urbina was never like fantastic or great, but he's still a multi-millionaire. Let's call it what he is.
I mean, same thing happened to Chris Benoit. He went coconuts.
Well, Chris Benoit, that was too much juice. That shit
Well, you know,
really fuck you up in the head.
but as an technically he's an athlete. I mean, he
Yeah, he is. He is. I liked
was.
Chris Benoit too. That's a shame. I really liked Chris Benoit too.
Mhm. Just goes to show you, man. A lot of people you don't know what's going on inside someone's head who's
You never know.
competing. And I mean, look at all the poor CTE guys from football.
Yeah, they are.
No, yeah, it makes complete. I mean, it sucks that the ferocity of the game suffers, but I mean, do you want to see people like oh god, who
Antonio
Carter,
Brown looking like a fucking maniac.
Jim Kelly. I saw him talk the other day. He looks like a skeleton.
Yeah, he had cancer. He went through cancer and stuff.
No, to completely understandable. I'm just saying though, like just of that ilk, people who are 50, 60 and using walkers.
Well,
You know
yeah,
what I mean?
absolutely. Like Jim
That's what I'm
McMahon.
saying.
Like Jim McMahon's practically like brain damaged.
Yeah,
He is brain damaged. He is brain damaged. Let's call it what it is. He is. You know.
So just does these sorts of like you said, perfect. He's out of his mind, killing everybody.
These players have been taking concussions from the time they were 5 years old, playing pee-wee ball, getting concussions. Over the course of the years, these players could have had Mongo McMichael, all those guys. They could have been having 30, 40 concussions before they even made it to the NFL.
Lyle Alzado, all those people mixing, the juice with the fucking, how hard they played.
I mean, if you weren't, have a broken limb, they would put you back in the game, Foods. I mean, these players would get up stumbling, visibly concussed, take a play off, and get right back in there. Just
it was brutal.
You know what it reminds me of? I don't know if you've ever seen the YouTube video or like it's like a spoof video. I don't know who made it, but they have this guy in goalie and he keeps getting kicked in the face with the ball and he's unconscious. Like kicks, and they keep hitting him while he's unconscious in the head.
I'll tell you what's even crazier. I read this one story about this lady who was at a baseball game, got hit with a foul ball, and then while she was taken out on a stretcher, got hit.
It was oh god, it was a famous player who did it to her too. It was the same player that did it to her twice. He actually paid for her medical bills, though.
Yeah, but I mean, that just goes to show you, like, So what's the most dangerous sport? Football, baseball, hockey? Who the hell knows?
I'll tell you the best concussion story I remember. I don't know if you remember little Matt Marquardt from our street. He had little blonde hair. He was premature. His brother Rob used to hang around, but he was younger, and we used to call him Gumby. And he came out like 3 months premature. He had no ears. Like, he was like messed up from birth, but he was a nice kid, whatever. But we were playing basketball in front of Mark Matarese's house. And Dan Matarese, from all the way across the street in Maggie's, takes the ball and throws a sky hook from like 40 feet away, and Matt's standing under the basket. It hits him square in the head and just knocks him down and out. Like he is down. He's unconscious. Like nobody even like went over to him really. So fast forward about 2 minutes later, he's just finally getting up, getting his bearings. He's stumbling like this. He threw up another shot. It hit him square in the fucking head again. And
from the same distance? It wasn't from the same.
From the same distance. He was just throwing up hook shots from like 50 feet away. He hit him square in the head. Like, not like here, not here, right square in the fucking head. And twice, same spot. And just dropped him. And he was like a fucking zombie stumbling to get up from the first.
That poor kid. He probably had massive like hemorrhages and shit.
He got up and just started yelling, "Suck my dick!"
How old was it? How old were you guys when this happened?
Hey, you were around. It was our age when we were hanging out on the street. I mean, it was definitely high school years. Oh my God. That just reminds me. I haven't thought about that in years, and that just, oh my God, I'll just never forget it. But yeah, man, these players were all fucking gorked out of their minds on on steroids and concussions. So
Mhm.
it was tough,
Yeah.
man. It was tough. They definitely had to take steps to try to eliminate that. But this year, now that they're really spotting for it, they've had more concussions this year than any year ever. It's definitely been increasing every year. But they got spotters who are looking for people. They got other players who are, tattling on people.
Yeah, I mean, you can't, individual, unbiased, uncompromised doctors, third party doctors. They throw flags at the smallest,
Yeah.
of hits for the quarterback. You just touch him, and he flops, and it's, there's a 15-yard flag
Man,
right there. So.
I'll tell you what, I wish it was on TV more, but I love watching Aussie rules football and stuff like that. It's so fucking great. Those guys are so tough.
I'll tell you who's tough. The lingerie chicks. Those bitches, dude, they'll fucking clobber you they'll tackle the fuck out of you, dude.
Yeah, man. Girls are starting to play football a lot more. I know the Eagles are at the forefront of flag football for girls. I think they've started a league up there with like hundreds and hundreds of girls. I think they're about the biggest league in the country. So, I mean, some of these girls are just fucking jacked.
And I'll tell you what, 4th and 26 to close. We don't want to keep it too long, but also we want to hear a comment about the game in Brazil, that first game next year. Have you seen that, Foods?
I did, and we definitely got shortchanged last year with only having 8 home games, and this year I was looking forward to at least we got that 9th, and technically we're the home team. That's bullshit.
I don't think that I like that it's the very first game. I think people think that it would be better if it was later. See, I think that it's good that it's the first game.
Yeah, the way that we ended the year last year, it might not be a bad thing to not play the first game at home.
Yeah, exactly. Let's play it in Brazil. I actually don't think it's a terrible idea for the first game. Like I said, I don't know about it being like the 5th or 6th game because I mean they do this shit all the time. They play in Frankfurt, they play in England. I get it. Whatever.
I get that, but that's in kind of football territory to where yes, it's still soccer dominated, but it's not Brazil.
I know they're trying something new. I get it.
They are trying something new. These kids come out of the womb playing soccer in Brazil.
So maybe we can get a kicker down there.
maybe you and me both played soccer. It's about the only sport I'm not playing right now.
Yeah, no.
Man. If I could find a league, I'd get back in goal.
I love soccer. Soccer was so much fun. I'd still play soccer. I still do it. We still kick the ball around. Just a lot of people don't play around here.
I remember when we were roommates. Yeah, we used to go out to the field a lot and fucking kick it around a lot. I remember we went out that one time in Westchester with fucking Yim, and he busted his ankle. All kinds of crazy playing. You remember that?
We still talk about that. And the funny thing is, I want to say like 3-4 months ago, I played Frisbee golf with him. The very first throw, the first hole, maybe it was like the second throw, we were walking to it, and he falls and he not twist his ankle, but he ankles over calves. He rolls it a little bit. I was just, dude, what is it with you in Westchester, dude?
Yeah. Does he still drill it from like 5 feet away? In the basket.
Yep. Sometimes he's right on, boy. Bang, right in. But most of the time, woo!
I've seen Tim. I've only played with Tim maybe a couple times, but I've seen him with 10-foot putts with 40-foot coming back the other way or more, missing it.
That's it. Foods, if you could throw it dead straight, it's a great putt, but if you miss big. It goes down the hill. It takes a roll. That's it. It's over.
No, Tim, I don't know if you'll ever watch this, especially 49 minutes into this video. I think we're pretty safe. I love you, buddy, but I think maybe if you're at 100%, you maybe need take it to about 40 to 50%. Will get the job done on those short putts.
And he's good, dude. Let me tell you. Yo, his sidearm is one of the smoothest side. I wish I could. I throw a better left-handed disc than I do a sidearm disc. So
I got a good side. I got a good sidearm now. I can
good.
I can get it out there 400 feet on a sidearm. I can get it out there pretty good now.
I wish I could do that.
I never really
Ugh.
improved. I never really improved distance with my backhand a ton. You've gotten better at your backhand. You definitely have gotten more distance on your backhand than you used to. But I never really got much more power on my backhand.
Yeah, it depends on your dad. Big Tone can throw a backhand like a mother too, man. He actually, when we played last week, he threw one that was like 370. Now it rolled like 40 feet too.
Yeah,
But hey, whatever, man.
it all counts.
It all counts. That's what I'm saying. So,
Yeah, I gotta get out. I gotta get out and play soon. The weather's been kind of crummy down here. It's just starting to kind of get a little bit nicer now. I think it's going up to like 70 in a couple days. So
oh, that's the last thing I wanted to say. 4th and 26 before we go. The weather was another factor for the Birds. Did we not have one
yeah,
weekend this
let me
season
tell you.
where it wasn't Vietnam outside? For God's sakes.
I mean, we're not just talking a little bit of rain, some showers. We were talking full blown Vietnam fucking tsunami downpours, like monsoon season.
Thought I was in Cambodia.
Yeah, it was, and it was all in a row too. It seemed like it was like 5 or 6 weeks all in a row. It didn't matter if it was a home game or an away game. It was fucking pouring.
Even the friggin' playoff game down
Even the
Tampa.
playoff game was pouring down rain.
Right.
It,
So I'm
it,
saying.
And you know what? We at home we just watch and we're like, oh, they need to play through the elements. And yes, both teams are playing in the same elements, but teams that have good receivers and big offensive weapons, weather is the great equalizer. It really truly is. But
Yeah, especially if you have a good blocking scheme, good run game.
yeah.
You're not playing a defense that has good against the run. So it's just a tough. Maybe next year it'll be half as much rain as this past one.
And that's why we were successful last year, Foods. We were a run first team last year. We ran the ball like 60% of the time last year, the Super Bowl year. We ran the ball like 60% of the time, and that's why we were so effective with all those deep shots down the field, because now all of a sudden you have the linebackers and everybody creeping up towards the line of scrimmage because you're getting gashed. And, it was no secret that everybody knew the Eagles would give up the run as soon as they got down. Mm-hmm. And they just would give up the run, and then they could just sit back and, double some of these guys. You throw 2 on Devontae, 2 on AJ, and, maybe single on, Goddard. But I'll tell you what, this is the last thing I want to talk about tonight, but what Hurts really needs to improve on next year is his quick decision making. Say what you want about Brock Purdy or Dak Prescott. They get rid of the ball in under 2.5 seconds. How many times did you see this last year? Like, how many times did you see that?
It was terrible.
Just dancing with the ball, just sitting there, even against that 49ers game. If you remember when we played the Niners, we dominated the first quarter. They didn't have one fucking yard the whole first quarter. And, he was just sitting back there and the receivers after 4 or 5 seconds, like, what the hell are they going to do, honestly?
Yeah, especially in the red zone, he would always roll right or something. He would never roll, you know what I mean?
And then that was it. Out of bounds.
And then that was your third down. Or he fell that one time where he tripped on his own feet. You're like, dude, really?
Because he was just dancing back there. Yeah, he just tripped on his own fucking feet, and he lost like 20 yards. Yeah.
Yeah, we can't have that. You hear me, Jalen? You better – I want the R and the RPO back, boy.
he was more hurt last year than we were let on, dude.
I agree.
If you look at highlights from last year and the year before, he was a completely different – he was a shell of a player this year. He did what he could. He toughed it out, but he was injured 100% this year. The last thing I want to say, I don't know, have you ever watched Abbott Elementary on TV yet?
No, I've heard of it though.
It is so fucking funny. And
I heard it was funny.
It's basically, they talk about like the Eagles all the time. Well, tonight it was the season premiere, and Jalen Hurts was in it for like 10 or 15 minutes. It was so cool. He was pretty funny. He was like,
he did it on YouTube. Yeah.
He did like a Zoom call to like all like the school, and he was talking to like all the kids, and then Brandon Graham showed up and Kelsey showed up. It was actually kind of cool.
It is kind of awesome.
It is. It was actually pretty funny. He actually was kind of funny. But let's get through the Super Bowl, and we got Phil's right around the corner, Doc. Anything you want to close it up with? Let you close up the show.
We're just saying, 4th and 26. We're going to start this year off. We got a lot going on. We're going to have football coming up soon. We got, once March starts, we'll get. They'll talk more about, the
March
free
Madness
agency.
in it. Yep.
Yeah, and then madness with basketball, and then April comes the draft. May we're going to go see a lot. Maybe we'll see what the playoffs coming around for basketball, and that's not till June, but maybe we can make the playoffs for the Flyers. We didn't touch on them today. But that's okay, Foods. We got time because they're nothing, but their stars rising, except for the Carter Hart thing. But again, we can talk about that later.
Yep.
And just another example of the snake bitten, season so far. Exactly. But again, we're hopefully from this point, we're just going to go up and skyrocket from now on.
From here on. All right, Foods. Thank you for joining me, B. 4th and 26. Thank you guys for joining. We'll be back next week with another one. Peace.
See you guys.